podcast coming to you live from Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, the full CHGO White Sox crew. That's Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. The man in the middle is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. We're being produced today by our guy, Steven Nicholas, who might not be our guy anymore because this is one of the last off-day shows, I think, of the year for us of the 2023 season.
It's the last one, yeah.
We'll be moving to...
Although it might rain tomorrow night, but we'll see.
We'll move to forever off days, a.k.a. the off season. And Steven will be so busy producing Blackhawks games, which happen at night, and we're going to be having a more earlier slot this year.
Yeah, you guys completely split the two different schedules for me.
10:30, Sean.
Is that Happy singing for the early shifts?
That's Here Come the Hawks, Steven. As a big hockey guy, you should know that.
Yeah.
Every time Connor Bedard scores a goal, they're going to play that song.
No. They're going to play the Chelsea Dagger garbage, aren't they?
Probably.
Oh, first of all, that's a great song.
Oh, is it? Maybe back when it was started, but now it's overplayed and it's like Return of the Mac type of terribleness.
You ask 14-year-old Sean, it's the greatest song that was ever invented.
That album is phenomenal.
I've heard one song of it.
Go listen to the whole thing. So good.
An endorsement for the Fratellis.
Yeah, I have it on red vinyl.
Who's better, the actual Fratellis or that group, the Fratellis? From the Goonies.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. You've never seen the Goonies?
Jury's out.
He never said he
Jury's
never
out.
seen the Goonies. Have you seen the Goonies?
No.
I've never seen the Goonies?
You didn't know how Here Come the Hawks, Steven. That's your job.
I've never seen I've never seen the Goonies either, so it's fine. Really? Yeah, no, just said that. I mean, I know that they go into a cave.
I know there's a truffle shuffle.
There is.
Yeah.
And I know there's that guy.
Yeah. One-Eye Willie.
Hey, you guys.
Oh, you're talking about Chunk.
Chunk, yeah. I don't know. And what's up, Jim? Shout out to Jim, our sales guy, for hanging out with us in the chat. If you are hanging out, we got 5 likes. Hit the thumbs up button. We're going to be talking a little bit about the playoff picture that the White Sox aren't a part of. If you guys are shocked, give me your best shock faces.
They're not in the picture, much like the near climax of Back to the Future.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good, nice one.
Yeah.
Good one.
See, I know I can do an 80s movie.
Good one.
We'll talk about the playoff picture. We'll talk about Luis Robert Jr. and if the White Sox failed him. Those were my words. I don't know if that'll be too strong. We'll talk about it. And then we got some Discord questions, too. But first, something that I didn't know was happening. I don't know if you guys know what's happening. I'm going to probably inform you guys. The Guardians are handing out 20,000 thank you Tito shirts for the game on Wednesday night, September 27th, because it is likely going to be Tito Francona's last game managing the Guardians. So, I mean, we really didn't expect Tony La Russa to step down. That was kind of more sudden and for medical reasons. But another managing giant leaving the AL Central seemingly. There's been no announcement, but seemingly the scooter riding Terry Francona will be stepping down. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts. The Guardians, I know, will still kick ass, even without Tito Francona.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, the year that Tito did sit out the whole year, I believe that was Sandy Alomar Jr. stepping in his stead, and I don't think they did as well as Tito does when he is just the altogether manager. But that guy is going to go to the Hall of Fame as soon as they allow him to get in the Hall of Fame, winning the World Series in Boston, and then, coming so close with the Cleveland Guardians, losing to the Cubs in that Game 7. He is a Hall of Fame manager. I'm glad he's going to not be the manager of the Guardians anymore because he gives us fits, and I'm glad they instituted the 3 batter minimum because he used to change a pitcher every goddamn batter, and former White Sox great Brian Shaw was part of that. So,
former White Sox great?
I mean, current White Sox great.
Thank you.
Soon will be former White Sox great, hopefully. So I will, salute that man because I don't think I've had a crossword except for his multiple pitching changes. His managerial career speaks for itself, and I think it's a testament to him and his dad and all the stuff that he's gone through. He was the one who managed Michael Jordan, got him to a 222 average. So, yeah, I'm going to be sad that he's gone, but also celebrating that they're going to have a lesser team next year because that man is kind of a baseball genius.
Great manager, one of the best. I mean, I think you said it all there, Herb. I think from the standpoint of my job, kind of a personality too. A guy who'll give you a good answer in a press conference, willing to kind of go back and forth, be kind of a a guy that's lit up a little bit, as opposed to, again, nothing to do with the success in the job necessarily, but you look at some of the folks across the league, even maybe the guy that we've got in Chicago right now, and it's his first year. I can understand why Pedro Grifol might not be the most laid back in terms of his managerial style, but Tito Francona always kind of came across as that kind of guy, at least during his tenure in Cleveland. And so that was always appreciated for someone in my job, was to talk to these guys and, try to get them to say fun things. So, obviously will be missed in the game because he's a fun personality to have around. But I'm sure White Sox fans won't miss seeing him outmanage their side on a regular basis, because he manages just about everybody.
And I hate to break it to you, Herb, I'm pretty sure this is from Wikipedia. Francona announced that he would step aside from the team for the rest of the year in 2021, citing health issues. He had dealt with gastrointestinal issues in the 2020 season that led to managing just 14 games. Alomar, I guess that's for Alomar's 2020 season then. Okay.
Yeah.
Because Alomar then in the 2020 season went 28-18, which is not bad. I don't know. I mean, that organization seems to just be cogs in the machine. I don't know. I mean, if Cleveland's in second place again next year, are you shocked? I mean, I know Tito's huge and a great presence, and he's in his 40th year managing. So I mean, he's seen it all. I mean, Pedro Grifol, he's putting out fires left and right. Tito Francona, he probably something happens in the locker room, he's like, whatever. Tomorrow's another day.
I think what I think is managing in baseball, not necessarily the strategic in-game stuff, which Tito does have a slight advantage over most managers, but he can relate to players. He was a player himself. His dad was a player, and so he can tell the players what he expects from them. And I'm 100% sure that the Guardians used the motivation of the White Sox being the prohibitive favorites of the AL Central in 2022 to fuel that team, and you heard it in the championship when they clinched the championship. All their thoughts were to the White Sox specifically, and so maybe Tito used that to fuel the guys to get the best effort out of them, and that's what you need. You need them to play their best when they're on the field. And Cleveland in that year, where it had the youngest roster in Major League Baseball, came out of nowhere, and they won the AL Central deservingly. And so I think Tito Francona deserves some credit for that. And I know they haven't won a championship in Cleveland in so long, but it wasn't from lack of trying on Tito's part.
Well, and hey, it'll be just interesting to see who's in that chair next, right? Because I mean, a different era, perhaps, as in when it comes to one of the White Sox main rivals in the AL Central. Who knows? Maybe Sandy Alomar Jr., former White Sox himself, gets that long-awaited crack at a permanent managing job. We'll see what happens and how they want to do things over there in Cleveland. But a new person in the dugout means kind of a new era and maybe a slightly new direction, even if it is somebody who's been right next to Terry Francona for this whole time. We'll see how it goes, and it could, even if very slightly, change the landscape in the division. And
it's interesting always just to see the changing of the guard too, because I mean we saw the White Sox with hiring Pedro Grifol and the situation with Tony, what they were looking for in that whole process, and hearing Rick explain that, and then I guess the lack of a process with Chris Getz. It was interesting to see how that happened, and you could even look, outside of Cleveland and go to Detroit. I know there's more of a connection there because they worked with the Cubs, but I mean Detroit goes and hires a guy from hockey to be their general manager. So hey, I mean that whole guy needs to learn a new sport. So it is just interesting to see all these processes play out within the AL Central, because I mean the White Sox hired a manager the same time the Royals did, and you see the way they're finishing the year. Mercy, I mean beating the Astros. I think they've lost 2 games since they started that White Sox series where Mike Massey was hitting home runs left and right. Oh, wait, that was every series. But I think back to September 12th, I think they have 2 losses. So, I mean, it's crazy just to see the way that, these teams can change and take over the AL Central.
Well, when we talk about this division, we talk about it obviously through a White Sox lens, and it's why our focus is why aren't the White Sox at the top of it? They disappointed this year. What are they going to do? What big changes are they going to make to get back to the top of the division? Remember, though, that none of these teams in this division, even the Twins, should really be comfortable or thrilled with their performance this year. Mm-hmm. And so you're going to see those changes continue to be made across the division. Obviously, last year, new brain trust with both a new baseball ops guy and a new manager down in Kansas City. You mentioned Detroit, what they just did, and now maybe a new manager in Cleveland. So, I mean, obviously things are changing all over the place because none of these teams are really where they want to be. And I don't think that, like, you're going to see maybe many changes in Minnesota because they are atop the division. But, I mean, would you be surprised if you did? Because, like, can you really say, like, oh, they've got the Twins are cooking with gas. They know exactly what they're doing up there. Like, they're benefiting from a bad division just the way people kind of talk about how the White Sox should, I guess, aspire to benefit from a bad division. You got changes going on all over the place, and part of the storyline as we continue to move forward this division is not just that all these teams are going to be anchored where they currently are. They're continuing to make changes to kind of pull themselves up.
Minnesota, though, if you told them before the year, hey, Byron Buxton's probably going to play, like, I think he's had less than 300 plate appearances, and Carlos Correa, who you signed, I guess, third time through, he's also been injured and bad. He's been they made two huge investments. They've been terrible, and they won the division in
easily
August 15th. So I don't know if that screams change because Rocco Baldelli's. he's
I'm not saying there would be any. I guess my point just being that
not setting the world on fire.
Listen, we saw a team win the World Series and fire their GM last year. Anything can happen in this sport. My point is, they're not setting the world on fire. You're not like, oh, that's Theo Epstein running things up there. That's Andrew Friedman running things up there. They have a job forever because they just are making gold on a regular basis. The Twins are meh. Yes. They just happen to play in the AL Central. If they go ahead and do their usual thing where they don't win any games in the playoffs and are quickly ousted, they should be, and obviously are, hoping for better too, right? And so all these changes are being made to improve these teams' station, or in an attempt to improve these teams' station. I think the Twins probably want to improve their station as well. I'm not saying that they're going to make any changes like those, but if they did, they'd have reason.
And also, you don't have to look that far for the White Sox when they changed managers when you had success. I know they didn't win the division, but they got in the playoffs in 2020, and they had to move on from Ricky Renteria. I wouldn't be surprised if they go out 3 in a row like they usually do. A tradition unlike any other. That's my playoffs when the Twins just lose to the series. It's my favorite thing.
It might be 2. They don't need to lose 3 games this time. They just need to lose 2.
Oh, I forgot 2, baby. And it's like
at home games.
I think the world.
I forgot they get home games against the third wild card. Or
the last team in. Yeah.
Oh man, that third wild card is baby. That number 1 wild card's let's lose all the games. We got the Twins coming up, baby. Let's eat. Well, I wouldn't be shocked if after that series they're like, hey, Rocco, it's been real, man. Yeah, winning the AL Central, congratulations. Anybody could, but get out of here. We want to aspire to better. They haven't won a playoff game since 2003.
I don't know if that's Rocco Baldelli's fault.
I know it's not, but just think of they just want the change of, hey, we're not satisfied with winning only the AL Central. We need to get back to winning series in the playoffs. Like White Sox fans would if they would have went to the playoffs. Good, because of last year. But also, if we would have got dismissed in the first round of the playoffs,
people would be mad.
Exactly. They'd be like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Although getting to the playoffs looks pretty good considering where the White Sox are at the moment.
Again, like you said, 11 playoff appearances in 123 seasons? Whew. I'd take a playoff appearance.
As you should.
Just hello. How you doing? You mentioned teams losing on purpose to try to face Minnesota. Maybe it's the Astros' plan. They're 3 out of their last 9 or their last 12.
They got swept at home by the Royals.
The Royals, who are 10-2 in their last 12 games.
Put them in the playoffs.
They have 6 games. They have 6 straight wins.
Maybe they are the ones who get the Twins out of there. Get the Twins out of there right away.
The White Sox. It took them a month and a half to win a series, and the Royals did it and then did it again. When was the last time the White Sox won 6 straight games? I'd love to be the Royals now. The Royals, 54 and 102,
theoretically could catch up to the White Sox.
They might.
Wait, really?
They're only 6 games worse than the White Sox right now.
So if they won out and the White Sox lost out, they'd have the same record.
And the Royals would probably be the better team because they won the division.
They're at 102?
They won the season series.
They're at 102?
102 losses.
How about that?
Unfire Royal.
Hey, we might hit the number 1 overall pick. All right, so let's go to the playoff picture here. We brought it up with the Astros kind of tanking here. We'll start with the AL side first. Astros are in 6th place, so they are the last wild card. They'd be taking on the AL Central winning. Elephant in the room. Minnesota Twins. The 4th and 5th seed, both AL East teams. Tampa would host the Toronto Blue Jays. And the 1 seed is the Baltimore Orioles, who win the AL East. They haven't clinched that just yet. Same with Texas, who right now is in 2nd, but that could be Seattle. Seattle's not eliminated just yet, but that's really the only team that is kind of figuring out where this is all going to land. Like, will it be Toronto? Will it be Houston? Tampa has locked up a spot, so you're really just figuring out those last wild card spots and the AL West winner. So Houston can either be the last wild card, they could be the division winner, or they could be playing golf come October. So what do we make of the AL playoff picture? Because, I mean, I don't think anyone thought that the Orioles would be the best team in the American League this year.
I mean, certainly there was a lot of hype for them, but you're right. I don't think anybody was picking them to run away with this thing the way they have. I mean, obviously the Rays are right there with them, and they clinched the playoff spot, I think, on the same day. But, yeah, I mean, the Orioles are the team to beat. There's no doubt about it. They've been humming right along. I don't think what's their thing with not being swept or not losing a series or something like that? It was like over a year since they had lost a series or something.
Yeah, and they've beaten them, and Toronto have beaten every team this year.
Oh,
that's the first time ever, because it's the first year of having a balanced schedule.
Right.
They've beaten series.
They've beaten every single team this year.
Maybe it's getting swept. Maybe they haven't.
Got swept in a long time.
Or something like that. But yeah,
they've lost series to Philadelphia and the Dodgers. But yeah, I don't think there's any sweeps.
They have not gotten swept. Yeah.
So there you go.
So they've lost 4 straight, but they weren't to the same teams. They lost 2 to St. Louis and then 2 to Tampa consecutively, but none of them were an actual sweep.
Gotcha.
Okay.
But yeah, they're very good.
Well,
and they are the team to beat. There's no doubt about it. I think the thing that's most surprising about the way this is coming out of the end here, boy, it looked like Texas was done, and now they're sitting in the 2 seed all of a sudden, because the Astros and Mariners are kind of both falling apart at the same time. Of course, Herb, as you've mentioned before, the Mariners this week get to play both those teams. It'd be a fun week out in the West. I think I remember back to, was it 2012 when the Rangers just crumbled completely down the stretch? What year was that?
You think in Red Sox Rays?
No, the Rangers led the division like the whole year, and then they just had like a horrible final end of the season, and they lost the division on the last day, and I don't remember if it was just losing the division or missed the playoffs, but the last day of the season they blew it, and so that was probably flashbacks of that kind of thing for folks down in the Metroplex, But yeah, I mean, the AL West is the thing to watch in this final week of this regular season.
Led the division for most of the season, had a 13-game lead on June 30th, but faltered down the stretch. They finished 93-69, 1 game behind the Oakland A's, who swept them in the last game of the series and wound up second just by a game. Oakland was 94-68, and then they would lose in the wild card game to Baltimore.
There you go.
And I think that was Delman Young, right? I think, or one of the Youngs, I think, was just tearing up Texas in that series for Baltimore. But you guys deserve a little pat on the back. Well, Jared and I did not pick Baltimore to be in the playoffs. You guys had them as the last wild card in our playoff predictions.
Wow.
So you guys had them in the playoffs, so congratulations.
I'm not bragging yet because I remember the team I picked to win the NL pennant.
Who was that, Vinnie?
That would be the New York Metropolitans. Boy, that didn't happen, did it?
I probably did the same.
I also picked the White Sox to win the Central.
Yeah. So did Herb. So don't pat yourself on the back, I guess.
Damn it.
I picked the Twins. Jared picked the Guardians. If it helps, I picked the Mets to win the World Series.
Well, there you go.
And if it helps, Herb had the Yankees and Padres in the World Series.
All right.
Baby.
All right.
Hey, in my defense, the Padres have had one of the most unlucky seasons in the history of baseball.
They're still in it, right?
They're what, five
games
out?
back with 6 to play. It's going to be really hard. The Cubs are already at a level where it's going to be really hard for them to get the third wild card. But
if only they're like, playing the White Sox.
They're like plus 95 in win differential, 0-12 in extra inning games. Whatever has gone wrong with that team. And they pitched. You can see they got Blake Snell, the Cy Young. They have great hitters, but I wasn't wrong on my prediction. Just luck wasn't on my side.
So of the three of us, I'm the only one whose World Series champion is still alive, and that could very well not be the case by the end of this week.
Well, Jared made a pretty savvy pick.
What is that?
The Dodgers.
Oh.
So, yeah, we can go to the NL side and
Chalk.
see where they're at.
Jared, I'll let here with chalk.
I mean, I picked the Stros.
He had Dodgers Guardians, so it's not super chalk. You went off there. Yeah, you had the Stros and Mets, so you wanted to. Number one seed in the NL East winners, the Atlanta Braves. In second place, the NL West winning Los Angeles Dodgers. In third place, the Brewers haven't locked up that division, but they have locked up a playoff spot. It seems very close. I think they just need to win one more game to lock up the Central. Fourth place, the first wild card, will be Philly, and they'll be hosting Arizona if the schedule and if the postseason started today. And then in sixth, in the final wild card spot, the Chicago Cubs. Any predictions here? I know you were telling Cubs fans not to get their hopes up with the Diamondbacks coming to town, having to play the White Sox, because even though they got 2 6 ERA starters, they're playing the White Sox.
Yeah. While you have a weak Minnesota Twins winning a division, and that which, to me, waters down the AL, the NL is just strong as hell. Atlanta Braves are the best team in baseball, I think. Like, they have hitting just ridiculous. They have a guy who might win the MVP, and Ronald Acuna is going 40 and 70, and Matt Olson's going to hit, 50-plus home runs?
He already has,
yeah, like, he might hit 60 if he gets on a streak versus the Cubs this week.
51?
Yeah.
53.
53.
Like, you got those guys, still have Spencer Strider, all the people they have, and the weakest team is the Cubs, who have had an awesome second half, and they're going against one of the best division winners lately. Milwaukee Brewers have been on an absolute tear as of late. So that NL, I'm going to be very glued in, because I actually would have some rooting interest, because I don't really want to root for AL teams because the White Sox are in the AL, but that NL is going to be really exciting. Probably going to go for the Braves because they're just looking like a juggernaut. But if the Cubs get through those Brewers, I think they can also play those Dodgers pretty tough too.
And you know what? There's a team in that NL bracket who probably nobody is even thinking of. They were the NL pennant winner last year in the Philadelphia Phillies.
Oh,
so,
right.
I mean, you're right. There's not a weak link in that chain. I used
this week.
I used the term team to beat when talking about Baltimore in the American League. The team to beat in this whole deal is the Atlanta Braves. They have been outrageously good this year. But, man, a Braves-Dodgers NLCS, it's like your Miracle on Ice type situation where the real championship is the semifinal, and then whoever goes to the World Series, that's kind of, you're coming down off that high. You just brought up Acuna and Matt Olson. How about the duo that LA's got in Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman?
Yeah.
That probably right there is your top 4 NL MVP voting right there. Those 4 guys are just on a different planet this season. To have the kind of season that Mookie Betts is having, and Ronald Acuna might run away with the NL MVP. My goodness. There's some good teams in the National League.
Possibly be the first player since, I think, 1939 to hit 60 doubles and not even be a silver medal finisher in the NL MVP vote must suck for Freddie Freeman. What can that guy do? I guess drive in 100 runs. How do you hit 57 doubles, have 203 hits, and are on the Dodgers and have not driven in 100 RBI?
Because he bats second. Mookie's already driving himself in.
Yeah, he's hitting 40 homers.
He's driving himself in.
Insane. Who would you guys go for NL MVP? Is it Acuna just because no one's ever done that?
It's a feat. I would go with Mookie Betts because of the versatility shown this year, playing second, playing short, playing the outfield at a high level, and then doing all the things he does with the bat at the top of that Dodgers lineup. But what Acuna did, that's ridiculous. That 70 stolens and 40 home runs just on a team that's just stacked like that. I remember people talking smack about him because he got hurt the year the Braves won the World Series. Like, we don't need Mookie. We don't need Acuna. Calm that down. That man's having a phenomenal career.
I mean, yeah, I think it has to be Acuna because of the stolen bases. 70 stolen? Are you kidding me?
Who's at 68?
He's got 6 games.
Right.
But my goodness, I mean, you can't go wrong if you're an NL MVP voter. You've got 4 tremendous options. You can put a blindfold on and throw a dart at the board and hit a deserving candidate there. But wow, what Acuna's done this year, and really just start to finish has been incredible. Alec, with a good point here, too. We haven't brought up the Marlins. They are currently on the outside looking in, but not by a lot. And Jake Berger's been right in the thick of all the fun that they've been having the last few weeks.
And the thing is, with the Marlins, they're only a game out. I don't know who they play, but the Cubs have a gauntlet. We just talked about the Braves. They're going to play them tomorrow in Atlanta. And then they got to go to Milwaukee, who we talked about also in Milwaukee. So the Cubs are no shoo-in. If they do get in the playoffs, they have earned it because they got to play some real teams down the stretch.
Miami's playing New York Mets.
The
I
Mets.
was just going to say New York. There's 2 New Yorks. New York and Pittsburgh. So definitely easier.
Ooh.
The one thing, and I mean,
You think the Fish are going to jump up and grab this from the Cubs there, Herb?
With that record, yeah, they're only a game back, and they have the tiebreaker, too. The Marlins, if you finish tied, the Marlins have won the season
The
series.
Cubs and the D-backs are in the same – they have the same record right now.
They're,
The D-backs lost to the Yankees today.
Yeah.
The Cubs and the D-backs have the exact same record. They are tied, but they occupy the second and third wild card spots. The Marlins, really the team that is jockeying with both of those teams to try to get in. You're right, Herb. It seems like the Padres probably don't have that great of a shot to overtake and all 3 of those teams.
I think it'd be hilarious if the Padres do it. Sorry.
What was that?
Do.
My bad. I think Arizona falls out.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, their run differential is tough. They, what?
They're playing the White Sox. You know this, right?
I know.
Okay.
But not for if they're playing them for all 6 games.
Sean's calling a White Sox
There's
sweep this
3
week.
wins
No,
there.
I'm not. I never said any of
At
those.
minimum, 2 wins there.
Yeah, and then they got to play Houston, though.
Who's terrible now?
But Houston's actually playing for something.
They're
they
both,
Like,
they both are.
Atlanta's not playing for right.
Yeah.
But Houston should be better. But hey, you
Who
lose to the
the
Royals.
Brewers got this week? Because it would be wild if the NL Central was not wrapped up by the time the Cubs went up to Milwaukee this weekend.
Cardinals.
Oh, it's over.
Cardinals and Brewers. Well, that and guess who all 4 of us picked to win the NL Central?
Cardinals.
Shout out Cody. So the Cardinals did not do that.
I mean, would you
It's
bet
a great
against
year for predictions.
Would you bet against the Cardinals ever? And would you? No one would put money on them having this record they have this year.
You won
Unbelievable.
a lot of money if you did.
Unbelievable.
And we didn't expect the White Sox to have this record. And especially if you told us, hey, Luis Robert's going to have 35 doubles and 35 homers, we definitely didn't think they'd be this bad. We'll talk about that after the break. Let's let you know about our friends over at Ray.
Good job.
Thank you so much. Let's talk about our friends over at Ray Chevy. Are you in the market for a new or used vehicle? If you are, then we have some great news for you because Ray Chevy in Fox Lake has just joined the CHGO team, and we were talking to the team at Ray when they joined the CHGO team, and they told us about the Ray Price Promise. Not Ray
Not
Price's
to be confused
promise.
with the Ray Price promise.
Right. It's a guarantee that the price you see online is the price you pay when you go into the dealership. They found that in many other cases with dealers, they'll raise the price on you when you come into the dealership asking things, nonsensical things, like are you a recent college grad? Are you active in the military? Are you a farmer? And in most cases, the answer will always be
no.
And that's when the other dealers will raise the price on you, saying the price online included limited rebates that you do not qualify for. And at Ray, that's not the case. They won't do that to you. The price you see online is the price you pay with no add-ons to the price ever. And in fact, Ray will do everything possible to find additional savings for you, which may make the price lower than you see online. As one of the top-selling dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest inventories and save big at Ray Chevy because they now have over 100 Chevy Trax models available starting at $21,495. And now through September 30th, only 5 days left, all buyers can qualify for 0% financing, make 0 payments until 2024, plus put no money down, and best of all, pay 0 hidden fees with the Ray Price Promise. Visit Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. Serving the community since 1963. Find new roads.
You remember farmersonly.com?
I do.
I think it's still kicking.
Ray should be not only farmers.com.
Oh, right. There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
You should see if that URL is available.
Ray Chevy, I think, is
More than
direct.
just farmers.com.
I think it might be a little confusing when you're buying a car. I want to let you know about our friends over at Game Time. Hey, you can't. I don't think you can use Game Time on Thursday
Can't.
for the White Sox.
I mean,
game.
theoretically, you can when
Could
people
you?
buy the tickets. If they put them up,
You're gonna resell for $2.
Well, I was just gonna. Do you think that game's gonna sell out?
No. I just
The
went
tickets for $1.
I just went and looked at. They still have a bunch of tickets available for $1.
Do you think
on
there's going to
Thursday.
be more than 2,000 people in that stadium
Well, they're $1. The tickets are $1.
and free parking too.
and free parking?
I mean, if you don't have to,
White Sox.
if you don't have to work or go to school on Thursday,
which most people have to do,
and you live in the city of Chicago, why wouldn't you go?
If I wasn't going to a Saturday's game because it's versus the Padres, if they weren't in town, I would go on to Thursday's game. I still might. It's $1.
I might go.
It's $1.
It's
Free
our
parking.
Game. Hey, what if it's
Too expensive? Way too expensive.
Yeah.
Steven says it's way too expensive. They have to pay for you, Steven, to go?
Yeah, I want a free ticket and a hot dog.
Okay. Can you not just pull $1 out of your change or your car? Like, do you not have like?
You can walk outside and just look down at the ground and probably find $1.
It's a waste of $1.
What are you going to
see a
spend
Major League Baseball
what are you
product?
spend that $1 on,
You're
Steven?
seeing the
Pack
Diamondbacks.
of gum.
Don't think about
No,
you're
not,
seeing the White
because
Sox.
I had to buy a pack of gum the other day, and it was $1.78.
Damn you, inflation! You've done it again.
Okay. I don't think we're asking the serious question here. We'll get to the game time read in a second.
Sorry, game time.
I don't think we're asking the most serious question
Yeah.
yet. It's $1.
Yeah.
There won't be a ton of people there.
$1. Yeah.
You're gonna be there.
Yeah.
We can get in for $1.
Yeah.
Steven, can we do the show outside? Can we do the show at Guaranteed Rate Field?
Still no.
Vinny just has to walk down from the press box. We could do it in the where no one is, which is just any part of the stadium. And we could
Bleachers,
just
yeah.
chat. Yeah, I mean, we could chat. Well, think about it. I'll let people know about game time. If you were ever stressed out about buying tickets, if you were trying to get to an Olivia Rodrigo show like Herb, maybe a Taylor Swift, maybe
Is that
Cake at the Salt Shed.
what was that first one? Is that a soccer player or something?
Olivia
yeah,
Rodrigo.
She plays soccer.
Casey brought her up to me earlier, and I was
brought
like,
it up.
I've heard of the name, but I don't know that person.
What does this person do?
What singer?
Oh, okay.
They have concerts.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. You probably heard their song somewhere in the zeitgeist, and it's been played, but you're like, who's this?
Can
I don't
either
know.
of you name a song from Olivia Rodrigo?
Any Olivia Rodrigo
No.
song,
Can you
Casey?
two? Can you two?
No, you're just cheating now. You're just asking
What is
someone
it?
else to tell you.
What is it? Vampire. I
Wow,
still don't know who that
amazing,
is.
Herb. Amazing knowledge from you. If anyways, you're trying to go to maybe you're going to a Ray Price concert.
I miss my
don't know.
You're
boyfriend.
not. He's dead.
I miss my boyfriend. Is that a Olivia Rodrigo song?
Maybe it might be a lyric.
I gotta go to class today.
Is she the one who did the song about it being Friday?
No,
That's
a
Rebecca
different,
somebody.
Yeah, no,
Rebecca
yeah.
Black, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of seems like the same thing, right?
Yeah,
I think the
sure.
girl's like in her 30s now.
You know, Herb. I have an amazing fact for you. We all age.
Yes.
I used to be 12.
That was a long time ago. That's what I was saying. Like, she was like a teenager when she sang that song. Now she's like a veteran 35-year-old lady.
She
with
served in the
bills.
military?
Yeah.
Thank you, Rebecca Black. Hey, I mean, Joey Votto just wrote about being 19 on a bus and having to deal with gross minor league travel and accompaniments or whatever.
This is the weirdest game time read ever.
Yeah, it is.
They're going to love it. Only 26,
They're
Rebecca
gonna love
Black.
it.
They said talk about a time you had a frustrating ticket experience, and now I'm talking about Rebecca Black and Joey Votto being on a Greyhound bus. You shouldn't have to worry when you're trying to buy tickets. Game Time has the best price for you to get into whatever event it is: sports, comedy, theater. I was going to say movies. I don't think they do movies. But with killer last-minute deals, you'll always be getting the best price for the event, and if not, they have a guarantee for you that if you find tickets in the same section in a row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Bears are playing on Sunday?
Sunday.
Against the Denver Broncos. So you can go buy tickets from Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Someone did say wrap up and keep the ads tight, and this has not been a tight ad read. My bad. We do have a DraftKings pick of the week for you, though. Puka Nacua to score a touchdown tonight. And you get a 50% Monday Night Football boost. I don't think the Bengals will score the first touchdown, so, hey, maybe even sprinkle on first touchdown scorer. But thank you to DraftKings Sportsbook, and when you sign up, use code CHGO, bet $5, and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So shout out to DraftKings Sportsbook, and there's 2 Monday night games to possibly gamble on. So there you go, a bevy of games to dive into with our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, let's get into Luis Robert. The title, I guess, is inflammatory, but is it too far? Did the White Sox fail Luis Robert Jr. in 2023? I'll have more stats to present it to you, but
I mean, no.
am I too harsh?
I mean, no. It's a team sport, so they, as a team, they failed to do what they wanted to do. Luis Robert Jr. is having a darn near MVP caliber season, if it isn't an MVP caliber season already. And at the same time, he's finally blossomed into that player that everybody was waiting for him to be, perhaps because of a little help from the White Sox early in the season when he was kind of looking like the same old guy who was flailing at pitches outside the zone. A little coaching maybe helped him get back on track here. Listen, this is baseball. There are guys who have phenomenal seasons for bad teams every single year. And it just so happens that this year it's Luis Robert Jr. doing so for a White Sox team. I think the point that you are making with that title and with that idea is about to be revealed, and in which case we can kind of dive into that a little bit more. But in terms of did they screw it up for him? No, they screwed it up for themselves. They wanted to win with his help, and they could not win, and in fact did an awful lot of losing.
I kind of get what you're saying, and if you're asking, did they leave a little meat on the bone as far as his development? Maybe, but he's pretty damn good right now, and I'll give the White Sox credit for developing the talent that was there, because we've seen players of Luis Roberts' ilk not come through and not be the guy that he is right now. So I'll give them their credit on Luis Robert Jr. being developed to this point, and there's more meat on the bone for him to grow himself. I think most of the things that he struggles with are things that he can just chill out and he can find solutions to, and of course the White Sox can help him along that path, but I think he's not maxed out as a player yet, so still to be seen if he can be better than he is right now. But I think most White Sox fans will take what he is right now at 25.
Yeah, absolutely. And two, I shared the stat with you guys before the show. Players 26 or younger in a single season with less than 600 plate appearances who hit 35 homers and 35 doubles. We saw the awkward slide in Boston for Robert, and we kind of questioned if it might be the end of his season, if they might shut him down with an injury. We haven't heard more on the severity, so it's still up in the air. There's no news at this point. He was just removed from Sunday's game, and it's possible he plays Tuesday. But if not, he will be the only player 26 years or younger in the history of this beautiful game to have less than 600 plate appearances and more than 35 doubles and 35 home runs. And again, I don't know if the White Sox as an organization failed him, because again, he's an extremely talented baseball player and showed that this year because he's finally been healthy, and that's extremely great to see. But going back to the FanGraphs ZiP projections, they go to we brought this up season by season, or in the offseason, player by player, trying to figure out where the caps for all these players were. And we all said that the All-Star for the 2023 White Sox would be Tim Anderson. Guess we kind of forgot about Luis Robert Jr. I guess he just hadn't played enough games, because, again, we always thought of him as the franchise player, and he showed that this year. If you want to go to the stats now, Steven, sorry, I was trying to set you up there. Luis Robert Jr. was projected by Zips and Dan Szymborski of FanGraphs before the season to have less than 500 plate appearances. They projected 445 plate appearances. He actually had 595, and that's not finished just yet. It's possible. They projected him to have 21 doubles. He hit 36, so a 15 double improvement. They projected him to have 18 home runs. Well, he hit 38, so 20 more home runs. They projected him to have 13 stolen bases. Well, he had 20, and they projected him to have an OPS plus of 114. He was a better player, an OPS of 128. He was just absolutely incredible this year, and I didn't have those stats, but players who did this 25 years, this year for them, it's like Carlos Delgado, Rafael Palmeiro, Mark McGuire, the guys that do this are all-time sluggers, and we see him leading the American League right now in slugging percentage. So if he had more guys on base, he'd probably be driving in 100 runs. If he had more help, and if he had a Matt Olson behind him and an Ozzie Albies and a Sean Murphy, he'd have a lot less pressure on him to do great things every time he's up at the plate, hitting a solo home run, trying to put the White Sox into a game. So, I think they failed him because we see how great and spectacular this year is, but I think it could have been even better.
Well, I think the point that you made before we started the show today, which is kind of, I think, where this notion comes from, is the plate appearances. Look at the number of plate appearances between Robert, who we all know has finally done what we were wondering whether he could do, stay healthy and play a full year. He did it. He showed up. He's played, 145 games? He could add 6 to that over the next week. He finally did what everybody was waiting for him to do, and the plate appearance numbers are dramatically lower than all of those other best hitters in baseball right now, right? I mean, I think you were talking about how wildly many more Acuna and Betts had than him, and then even a guy like Ohtani, who's got more than him currently, despite having been injured and missed some time already, and will miss the last week, obviously. I think that's where that comes from is, wow, if the White Sox weren't a potential 100-loss team, think how many more at-bats he would have. You know what I mean? And it's not like he's batting 8th for this White Sox team. He's batting 3rd. So, sure, you can point to that as being a pretty big difference between the leadoff spot and even the 3rd spot in the order, but he's batting 3rd. He is not. They're not doing anything to keep him from racking up the at-bats and the plate appearances, and still there's a huge gap in the numbers between him and some of the other top guys in the league. And so when you're saying, did they fail Luis Robert Jr., obviously if they were putting more guys on base and scoring more runs, the lineup would be turning over more, and he'd be getting up there more. So I guess in that very narrow regard, sure, yeah, the RBI number is just silly. It's silly that his RBI number is as low as it is with the amount of extra base hits that he's had, with the slugging percentage that he's had. That should be much, much higher if the team were even mediocre as opposed to just potentially on going to be a 100-loss team. So, yeah, in a way, from a statistical standpoint, sure. If the team was better, some of his numbers would be a lot better. But if you're talking about what Herb was talking about, the player that we've seen this year, the guy that he's developed into, the hitter that we know the White Sox have in the middle of their lineup moving forward, I think this is just pretty close to the dream scenario for what they wanted Luis Robert Jr. to be.
And to explain myself on the Tim Anderson making the All-Star prediction, I wanted not to have, like we did last year, when you and I both picked Luis Robert as the MVP before the season, and he had the season that he did that wasn't fulfilling for any of us. So, as you can see, I've picked Oscar Colas to win I didn't pick him on that thing, but him to win the Rookie of the Year, that didn't turn out too well, and et cetera, et cetera. I'm not Vinnie over here. It's picking Justin Verlander to be the Cy Young out of nothing, and we're like, come on, Vinnie, ridiculous.
Goes to show you, if you're a blind squirrel and you just find that one nut, you can ride that as a reputation for multiple years, it seems.
Yeah, and to speak to what you were saying about Luis Robert being like the sole offensive productive player on the White Sox, we saw him trying to hit home runs all through the end of August to September, and I think he was telling people, and I think Pedro said that he was doing too much, trying too hard. And if you did have people behind him, like a Sean Murphy, like Olsen, like Acuna in front of him, he would relax. He knows that, those numbers are going to come to him just because they got to pitch to him. You don't have to pitch to Eloy Jimenez as yet. So you can throw a slider on 3-1 to Luis Robert and see him flail instead of, hey, if I don't throw him a slider or I don't throw him a fastball, I got to face Eloy Jimenez behind him. Oh, no, I'm going to throw him a fastball so I don't put him on base because he's going to steal second because he's got 20 stolen bases. But, yeah, I think Luis Robert is in a great position to propel himself to that next level. It's up to the rest of the players to see that greatness and say, we're not going to let that go. We're not going to let him be the only star on our team. Let's aspire to be like him instead of being the players that we have been. And that's the shining example of who you should be and who you should turn into, and have those examples and have those goals of, I want to play 150 games, because he knew if he played 150 games, the stats would follow.
Yeah, absolutely. And two, if he didn't have that horrible April, he would have had a completely different year. Since May 2nd, 30 doubles, 33 homers, 276 batting average, 330 on base, 575 slugging, 905 OPS. He's been insane. That's a per 162 of 42 doubles and 46 home runs, and somehow not driving in 100 RBIs. 93 RBIs would be the projection. So that's fun.
Projections, know the White Sox. He's on the White Sox. No one's in front of him.
We can give that man, I think, 800 at-bats, and he still won't drive in 100 RBIs because he can't hit just 100 solo home runs. And that's what he needs to figure out this offseason.
If he had 800 at-bats, I think he would hit 100 solo home runs, no?
100 solo homers?
I mean, he would hit a bunch of home
100
runs.
RBIs, maybe.
Yeah, we get 100 RBI.
All right, final Luis Robert thing, and then we'll get into the other players that didn't pull their weight. Just more fun with 25 years or younger, 35 homers, 35 doubles in a season. Least amount of plate appearances, Luis Robert Jr., again, for a player 25 years or younger to hit 35 or more homers, 35 more or more doubles. Who's second with 617 plate appearances?
I'm just going to go Ken Griffey Jr.
This is all time, not Ken Griffey Jr.
Mel Ott.
No. Closer.
Willie Mays.
No. Bigger.
Hank Aaron.
Bigger.
Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth. So Babe Ruth, second. Then who's third? So Luis Robert Jr., 595 plate appearances. Babe Ruth, second, 617 plate appearances.
Can you imagine Babe Ruth being in his mid to early 20s?
No.
Right.
He's always 45 years old.
I feel like he's been 45 the entire time he played.
There's a picture. There's a baby picture of Babe Ruth.
Baby Ruth.
And he's got a cigar in his hand. His hand.
Does he have that big crown on his head too?
Crazy wrinkles.
Give me some milk.
44 homers, 42 doubles in 2000. 644 plate appearances.
2000. No, he was too old by that time.
This guy might have been juicing.
A-Rod.
No. Oh, this is not a Luis Robert Jr. Babe Ruth name. I guess it's more of a Luis Robert Jr. name.
Yeah, I was
going to
say, you're putting those two
Is
together.
it a Luis Gonzalez name?
Sure. Worse.
Worse.
Brady Anderson.
More of a Brady Anderson.
Oh.
He's an NL guy, but he wouldn't be in the NL anymore. That's it.
Oh. Jeff Bagwell.
Maybe Jeff Bagwell's teammate.
Biggio?
No.
Ken Camnity.
Yeah, it's closer than
Richard Hidalgo.
Richard Hidalgo.
There we go.
No effing way. No effing way.
So, yeah, Luis Robert Jr., 595 plate appearances, 38 homers, 36 doubles.
44 homers for Richard Hidalgo?
Hidalgo.
Keep that in your back pocket for when Immaculate Grid has Astros 40 homer season. There you go.
That dude had to be on the
Hidalgo.
juice.
Richard
Goodness.
Hidalgo.
617 plate appearances for Babe Ruth, 54 homers, 36 doubles in 1920. In 2000, 644 plate appearances, 44 homers, 42 doubles for Richard Hidalgo.
What a year.
And then two shout-outs. One to your boy, Nomar. He's fourth on this list, 652 plate appearances, 35 homers, 37 doubles. And Adam Lind, 35 homers, 46 doubles in 2009, 654 plate appearances.
Adam Lind.
For Adam Lind. And I guess Bryce Harper had 654 plate appearances too. 2015, 42 homers, 38 doubles. So.
Now I got to look up what he did the year after that. Goodness.
Richard Hidalgo?
Richard Hidalgo.
So Richard Hidalgo took a year off and then did it again, basically. So Richard Hidalgo in 2000 had a 147 weighted runs created plus, 42 homers, 44 doubles. The next year, 19 homers, 29 doubles, 103 OPS plus. Then the next year, 17 doubles, 15 homers, 87 OPS plus. And then in 2003, 43 doubles, 28 homers, and a 143 weighted.
So you're telling me that he did it in the Navy Astros jersey, then came back, took a year off, then did it in the brick red Astros jersey.
I guess he did.
Wow.
2000
Incredible.
was the last Navy Astros?
It was 99 or 2000,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. That's interesting.
With the broken star?
2000 is well, no, 2000 has the broken star.
Yeah. I'm
2000
talking
has
the ones before that.
Yeah, the 20K
The Navy
Kerry
and
Wood one.
gold.
The Shane Matthews.
Shane Reynolds.
Shane Reynolds.
Matthews played for the Bears. Yeah.
Whoops.
Right
Go
around
Bears.
that time, though.
Hey, it all blends together. All right, let's take an ad break and we'll talk about the other people who failed the White Sox.
Richard Hidalgo did all that and then retired at 30.
Hey,
Well, I don't know if he retired. He just didn't play Major League Baseball after
forced
that.
out. Hey, maybe when
I don't see any other places.
no Cuban League stats for Richard Hidalgo.
No, that's
all
it.
Just was done. All right, let's take a break. We'll let you know about some of our great sponsors. Take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends over at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. They have durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. And that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. If you don't love your Shady Rays, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized shades. Again, use code CHGO for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized shades. Shadyrays.com. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Also want to let you know about our friends over at Fubo. It's how I'll be watching Monday Night Football tonight with 140 live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news. You can stream live TV from any device and watch the most Chicago sports for the lowest price. I don't think there's any Chicago sports going on tonight, though. Right? Cubs are off. Sox are off. So there you go.
There's not a hockey game tonight?
No,
Preseason
there's
hockey?
no hockey. That doesn't start till September 28th. I know Steven knows. Steven's counting down the days. You can watch Connor Bedard with no contract, no cable, and no hassle. Just sign up and start watching, and you can start watching immediately with a free trial at FuboTV.com/CHGO, and you can use their 1,000 hours of cloud DVR included at no extra charge to tape any game you miss, tape a show you're watching. Maybe you're into Abbott Elementary. They just ended the writer strike, so we should get your shows back, folks. So you can watch your shows, you can watch your sports, all with Fubo TV. Watch your favorite college football and NFL with Fubo. Go to www.FuboTV.com/CHGO. That's FuboTV.com/CHGO to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. And finally, the TA bobblehead, the set decoration, was donated by our friends over at FOCO. Go give them some love at foco.com. That's FOCO. Or click the link in the description below. For all non-presale items, use the promo code CHGO for 10% off. You can get fitted in the best sports gear around. They got hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. And they got some crazy fun stuff up there, too. I know Susie from DNVR Rockies was wearing the checkered overalls for the Broncos. They got
People
that
are loving
for the
these
Bears.
overalls.
Hey, and Foco's got them.
There you go.
So there you go. Use code CHGO for 10% off any non-presale items. I mean, what, you're not a big overall guy?
I was not bashing them. I'm just saying, wow, look at how popular they are.
Wow.
Wow. I
Flying
said.
off the shelves
Wow, I
at
said.
Foco.com.
It's coming back. Like, it was popular in the early 90s back in the day. We used to wear overalls all
It was
the time.
popular in like the 1800s, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're a
Do you
farmer?
have overall pictures?
Probably not, you know.
I'd love for you
these
to go
are
into the archive.
These are Polaroids, so they're somewhere in my mom's basement somewhere.
Yeah, when next time you're visiting,
Just go and find one of my...
go find your
I had-
overall
I had
pictures.
purple overalls, too. This was style, man.
You had purple overalls.
Purple overall shorts set. Yeah.
That's called a romper.
I mean, now they call it that, but yeah, in the day, you had, man,
Herb, what's it going to take to get you to wear that here?
like
Well, you got to find it.
like 50 pounds and like a time machine.
I just need the photo. If you can find the photo, we'll happily put it up on the shelf.
See if there's one at Edison Middle School, circa 1991.
I'm not going there. Let's go into the people who didn't do too well in 2023. Let's start off with Yasmani Grendel, because I don't think we were putting too much stock in Yasmani being the savior of this 2023 team. Again, we were talking about him possibly becoming a goaltender. And you know, I think we'll get sued if we sing any more bars of that. But Yasmani, again, he did his best to do as much off-season work to fix his back, and you know those things are pretty tough to fix. He was projected at 435 plate appearances. He only had 398. He might have a couple more, and maybe he gets over that 400 mark for 2023. They projected him to have 13 doubles. He had 14.
Better.
Yay! They also projected him to have 16 homers. He hit 8, and then there was an OPS projection of OPS plus projection of 108. He was at 79. Just wasn't able to play games consistently. Wasn't able to catch consistently. That was my biggest concern. I had hope that he would be better, and I wanted him to be better, but just can't fix a back when you're at 35 and you're catching. Catching the actual mechanics of how a human does that for 9 innings never made sense to me. So then you're gonna put like more strain on your back. Just seemed like a bad equation.
Yeah, you know, it was. I don't know exactly what the White Sox were planning in terms of him anyway. It seemed like they had built him being limited into their plans, right? We saw a lot of Sebi Zavala, and since things have gone the way they've gone, we've seen a lot of Corey Lee, and I think for good reason we've seen a lot of Corey Lee. But it really seemed like they were approaching this season with the idea that Sebi Zavala would do a lot of catching. This wasn't going to be, Yaz catches 4 days and then gets an off day kind of thing. That being said, Yasmani Grendel did not go on the injured list this year. You know, he was talked about as having, you know, routine aches and pains throughout the whole season. Some got him scratched from starting lineups, you'll remember. Some had him out for a few games in a row. And at the end of the day, maybe that was to be expected the way he was coming off of the health concerns from the last couple of years. But, you know, in terms of what he was expected to do, he was expected to be above average hitter, that's for sure. And I think that he wasn't able to do that, regardless of the catching workload, is what kind of should color your opinions and your thoughts on what he was able to do this season.
If you get the projected Yasmani Grendel right there, I think every White Sox fan would take that every single time. 108 OPS fine, good, nice. But the numbers he put up this year with a 79 OPS plus, not good at all. I mean, just he gave it his all. We know that Yasmani Grendel is not out there just to collect a check. He's actually trying to do the job, but, he's up there in age, and also I don't know if he has, the desire to play after this year. And so might be one of the last years he's going to be really good for the White Sox or have a chance to play for a major league team, and it just wasn't there this year. The power is kind of zapped out of him. Every once in a while he would do his bat drop and he'd be caught at the wall or something like that. It's just, sometimes world and life catches up with you all at once and it tells you you can't do it anymore. And I would be very shocked to see him get a major league contract this next offseason because of all the things we've said, the injuries, which he didn't go on the IL this year. That's one plus to him, but back problems are hard to come over, and also he's going to be 36 as a backstop, and he's going to be wanting some decent money. Even veteran minimum, he probably can't be a backup for a team. I'm sure his teams will be checking in on him, but at a minor league deal situation like they did with who was that catcher a couple years ago?
Jonathan Lucroy.
That guy, Jonathan Lucroy.
I was thinking he might have like a similar thing to Hayward where, he's either going to retire or maybe someone pulls him out because it's like, hey,
we need
come
somebody.
to the Dodgers. We'll fix you. We fix everybody.
God. Oh, God.
But yeah, I don't see him being sought after, and it's just because he can't catch. His batting numbers aren't terrible for a catcher. I mean, the league average for a catcher for weighted runs created plus is 89. He's at like 79. I mean, he's not like that far off. It's just he can't catch. He can't hit.
Forgot to say, our guy Sebi Zavala is going to be in town too.
Oh yeah, hey, he might pitch.
Going to see my man Sebi.
He got to pitch for the Diamondbacks. I would love to see that.
Awesome. Going to the playoffs, Sebi.
You could see him for $1, people.
We could say
You're
goodbye
telling
to
me
Sebastian.
that watching Sebi play is not worth $1?
Steven, can we do the podcast outside?
Not do it outside.
Okay, all right. Well, I think you're lying to me.
It's worth it for the $1. You get to see Sebi Zavala, and more importantly, Corbin Carroll, one of the best players in the game.
Corbin Carroll's worth $1.
Yeah, so it's not just the White Sox out there playing versus themselves. They're going to be playing an actual major league team.
Now
that
Steven
might be in the playoffs.
Yeah, now Steven heard Corbin Carroll's going to be there, and he's ready to pay
all
that
in.
$1.
It's like, oh, yeah, let's go.
That $1 just gained a value.
And Zach Davies.
Yeah, and Zach Davies.
We're down to 50 cents.
Is he Thursday?
That's tomorrow.
Okay. Well, Thursday's $1. I mean, tomorrow you got to pay like $3.
Oh, God.
I mean, this probably aren't that expensive. All right, let's go to Moncada next. Moncada was projected 539 plate appearances. He only got to 341. He's probably the biggest person that it's like, I wonder if he was like truly healthy, what his season would look like. 26 doubles were projected. He's at 19. 16 homers were projected. He's at 9. 105 OPS was the projection for Moncada. He is right now at 90. But as we talked about, I mean, August and September have been good to Monkey. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like if he's going to be on the team for next year. I think that there is something to look at that 460 slugging since August, and if he can actually be healthy, which is like the biggest if for Yoan Moncada, I think he can actually reach the projections that they showed for 2023.
Okay. It's been the same thing since 2019.
Thank you.
And again, I'm not saying and the reason that it's been the same thing is because the question remains unanswered. I'm not saying that he's bad and that he's terrible and you're never going to get what you want. You might. But we have 4 straight seasons now of him being dogged by injuries of varying significance, right? Many of them all of them not his fault, you know what I mean? But it has completely prevented him from being able to put up the same numbers he did in 2019, the year that earned him that contract that he's going to be making so much money with next year. And we're going to go into 2024 with the exact same questions that we've gone into the last 3 seasons with. Can he do it? Maybe. Is he going to stay healthy? Maybe. Who knows? And I think that's what's going to make part of what's going to make Chris Getz's job so hard. He can't bring in an entirely new roster, and it sure seems that he's going to be, for lack of a better term, stuck with Yoan Moncada. Is that a bad thing? Is that a good thing? Is it something that has a ton of upside? Who knows? We don't know, and this is another year in which that question has gone completely unanswered, and it's just impossible. You talk about projections. I don't want to be the robot that makes the projections for Yoan Moncada next year, mostly because I don't want to be a robot, but also because what are you pulling from? There's no statistical data that makes any sense with this guy, right? Because you're going to take his numbers next year and project it to next year. Well, he's not going to have a back injury next year, or maybe he will. You have no idea what to do. So good luck to that computer.
And Steven, can you pop up Yoan's numbers again, the projected and the actual? Like that, the numbers that the projections are putting out there for him: 539 plate appearances, 26 doubles, 16 home runs, and 105 OPS plus are bare minimum numbers that Yoan Moncada should get to.
It's
bare
5%,
minimum.
5% better than league average.
Yeah, bare minimum, and he couldn't get there this year because of a slew of things, but mostly injuries. Like if he would have did that on the left, I would have still been disappointed in Yoan Moncada, but at least they've been healthy enough to have a 539 plate appearances. That's how much he's fallen off. He should be at minimum 25 home runs. And if he's at 539 at bats, that should be not even a question. He should be a 115 OPS plus guy. Those numbers are just telling you how much he's fallen off. He was an MVP type caliber player in 2019, and now he's just, can we get 120 games out of this guy with health? Maybe. Can we get 140 games with health? Man, what could be? And you couldn't put all your eggs in the Yoan Moncada basket. I wouldn't, especially next year where he's going to cost a lot. That's the problem. Like all those years he was struggling, and even this year, didn't really cost a lot. What, $17 million this year? 24 next year. A real ass salary where he needs to perform. He'll be the highest paid White Sox next year by far, and he needs to perform and go way past those numbers that are projected for him. Way past them.
Right. And I'm going to say the one thing that White Sox fans have been saying since 2020, if he's healthy, though, like if he actually is healthy and gives you 150 games,
oh my God,
or 140, whatever. I mean, if he does do that, he could be a top 5 third baseman. I mean, you've said it before. I know.
I've been waiting.
I don't know. Like I'm just what I've seen since August. There's still some magic in that old silk hat, Like I think they could dust off Frosty.
Is there?
Yeah,
nice
I think
Frosty
they could dust off
reference.
Frosty, and he could still bounce back. Let's go to two guys that are mid, and then one guy that's just been stinky. We'll go to Andrew Vaughn first.
Monkey the Snowman.
Monkey the Snowman. I don't know where to go. All right.
Disastre personal.
All right. So 2023 for real quick, Deathstalker. It's a slow day. Someone is saying that Moncada should have gotten the COVID shot. We know that he traveled to the team to Toronto, so he was vaccinated in 2021. And also, I don't think the shot was invented when he contracted the disease. So I don't think he could have gotten it because he got it in like July, or I think even before they shut down spring training. So I don't even know if the shot existed back then. Monkey just kind of had a bad stretch of it, and I think he's coming out of it.
And with anybody who catches COVID, it's not necessarily their fault. So
right. I mean, I don't know.
We don't need to blame people.
Let's go to the projections for Vaughn. 2023 projections, 593 plate appearances. He's at 590, so he's probably going to surpass that, knock on wood. 28 doubles were projected. He's at 29.
Boom.
Likely going to get to 30. 28 homers were projected. He's at 20. And an OPS plus of 124. He's at 102. It feels like it should be higher. Like, I don't know. Like, is it just that he doesn't walk ever?
His season's been pretty quiet, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, for a guy who is now part of the Magic 20 home run club that we thought 18 people were going to be in last year, it's been pretty quiet for Andrew Vaughn. Again, that OPS plus 102 means he's average. Means he's an average hitter. They don't think Andrew Vaughn is an average hitter. They think Andrew Vaughn is going to be one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball. The White Sox opinion, not necessarily anyone else's. But if that's what that guy's going to be, he needs to be better than 102 in that department. You know what I mean? He needs to be better than league average. I guess, as Pedro Grivol keeps saying, the good news, he hasn't tapped into it yet. He hasn't done it all yet. There's a lot left to go with Andrew Vaughn. Remember, hardly any experience playing minor league baseball. This guy is still very much on the going up part of his professional career. He's got a lot left to do, but you know what? He's got a lot left to prove too. So I don't think you could be as upset if you're a White Sox fan Well, probably you could, but I don't think maybe him versus a guy like Moncada or him versus a guy like Grendel. These veterans who've been around for a while. Vaughn is still, in the early stages, I guess, even though this is now, his third Major League season.
124 projection OPS plus. What the hell were they thinking? That's higher than Luis Roberts' projection. They really loved them some Andrew Vaughn. Man, if he would have came close to that, everybody who's a White Sox fan would have loved him. But he plays a position where you got to produce more power, got to have more hits. And for most White Sox fans, I think this year will go down as a disappointing season for Andrew Vaughn, even though he's shown signs of being the guy that the White Sox and their fans believe that he's going to be. But yeah, like Vinnie said, 102 OPS plus is just league average, especially for a first baseman. That's way below average. And so I think that Andrew Vaughn has a lot of meat on the bone to get better, and hopefully he takes what he's learned, and it seems like he's not slowing down necessarily like he does in his first 2 seasons, where it just kind of hit a wall and he was tired after a while. Right. And that could be because he's playing first base. And he looks like, with the glove, awesome. He's improving with the glove as we speak. Every game I see him making some other great play. And so it looks nice. He
still can't make that play that Abreu made.
Oh, no one.
Like,
yeah.
If it's a ball over his head going towards that tarp, he is not able to do the over-the-shoulder catch. He has just been so inadequate at that specific scenario.
He needs to go down to work with Jose on the offseason. Teach him.
Didn't seem like Jose wanted to work with him when he was here. They were a family. I guess they were, that's that tight of a family, though. Vaughn, though, on the season, his slugging percentage is .432. Since August 4th, when you said you thought he changed his stance, and I think there was a rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, that he using a lighter bat. I'm not sure if that's been confirmed. But his slugging percentage over the past 45 games is higher than his season slugging percentage, which I think is great. Again, trying to see if he can actually last a full season. 6 doubles, 7 homers in those 45 games, but he's got a walk rate of 3%, 3.5%. So his weighted runs created plus, even though it's better than his season numbers and it's better than 102, it's only 112, which is still below average for a first baseman. He needs to walk. And I know that there was a quote either to you guys or in James's piece in the Sun-Times where Vaughn's trying to say that he wants to get better at the edges. That would lead to hopefully more walks. That's what I think he needs to do just to improve it. I don't know if he's a failed project just yet. I think this guy might be. We'll go to Eloy. His projections for 2023, 445 plate appearances. They actually got 469. They were projected 18 doubles, got 22. Projected 23 homers, and they got 17 homers. 120 OPS plus was projected, and he settled at 104. It just seems like a ground ball every time with Eloy. Maybe there's something with him. I think that he's probably the closest to Robert on the team, so maybe he's the least likely to be traded because of that. You want to keep Robert happy. But, I mean, Eloy, we just keep seeing it. We keep thinking, oh, he's going to hit 30 homers. He's going to hit 30 homers. The health hasn't been there for him, but also just hasn't looked good or really threatening up at the plate this year at all. I don't know if it's just because the team has been bad and he kind of has a lack of focus. That's me just guessing, but I don't know.
I mean, I think if you look at him, he is hitting. You know what I mean? He's a guy who, remember the longest time, you go back to, I know these are 2 words White Sox fans don't like to hear, but you go back to Frank Menachino, who always said that he believed that Eloy could be a consistent above 300 hitter. I think you could see from watching him play, even in the second half here when things have not mattered, you could see that he could be that guy.
His average is 274, career is 275. So he's at his career average.
And I think he could be better than that, too. The thing is, very obviously, where's the pop? I mean, where is the pop? And I think it's obviously something he needs to work on. It's obviously something the White Sox need to get him to improve on over the offseason and in the spring, because his danger threat level, if you to use what you said there, threat level midnight.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael Scarn.
Yeah, it involves hitting the ball over the fence and hitting the ball just in the air, bang it off the wall, do something, drop it in the corner, whatever. This is a guy whose power was always his thing. You see his body, you see how he runs. He is not going to suddenly become just a leadoff man who hits 300. Like, he needs to hit the ball a million miles. That's what he can do. And he's showing it every once in a while, but it needs to be a lot more. If they can't get him to rediscover the ball in the air, ball over the fence part of his game that made everybody so excited about what he could be, then that's really bad for them and their lineup.
Good thing career high in doubles this year with the 23. It's not a lot. 2 more walks, career high in walks.
Hey.
It'll be 31. That's really low. But the bad part, he's batted just about the same amount he did in his rookie year, where he had 31 home runs. He's 14 off of that pace right now. 14 home runs less than that. That cannot withstand. As Vinnie says, ground balls are not good for anybody, especially a guy that is counted on for power specifically. And so he needs to work on, I think, the thing where they're talking about players and how they're going to be checking up on players. I think Eloy Jimenez is one of those players specifically that they need to check up on and say, hey, you're doing this, that, and the other to make sure that you're healthy and ready to go for the 2024 spring training season. And I think that he should dedicate himself to putting more solid contact on the ball, because you can't just keep on hitting ground balls and expecting results that are going to be positive. You don't have to hit it in the air necessarily, but line drives. He's got enough power, and you can see through Luis Robert Jr., you don't need to swing all hard to get the ball over the fence. And so I hope he learns that you don't need to have maximum effort through the swing to get that ball in the air, especially a beast of a person that Eloy Jimenez is. So I would love him to swing less too, because only 30 walks for a power hitter can't withstand.
Yeah.
You're going to be striking out a lot.
And I mean, that's the whole issue for the team. I mean, Moncada, Vaughn, Eloy, Robert, none of these guys walk. And especially this final guy, Tim Anderson. And this is going to be maybe sad, maybe fun. I don't know, maybe painful. He's just got to change everything. 2023 was projected 476 plate appearances. He's gotten to 507. 22 doubles were projected. He's gotten to 18. He's projected for 16 home runs. He's hit 1. And projected OPS plus of 108. He's at 62. Just brutal. I don't know if there's any notes besides it has to be a lot better, and we're just really unsure if he's going to be on the team next year because of that option. And, I think they can either go either way with this. I mean truly,
that
it's an option.
That 507 deserves an asterisk because not many of those were healthy plate appearances for Tim Anderson. I think that goes a long way in explaining a lot of the numbers for him this year. Not just being out of sorts, but, I mean, hey, you're wondering where's the power? Dude had a significant lower body injury in the first week of the season. That's where the power went.
Yeah,
and I think that it affects every single number that he's got on there. Good for him for being on the field, because that has been really all these guys. Good for them for being on the field, because that's been the White Sox biggest problem. But the White Sox biggest problem remained that they were on the field and not operating at full capacity, that they were injured while they were playing, be it Eloy with the legs or TA with the legs or Moncada trying to fight through that back injury. Those plate appearances were not healthy plate appearances, and that's the story of the season again.
I mean, it broke up a 4-year streak of him hitting 300 this year. Like, no one could have saw this season happening for Tim Anderson. He's one of the worst players in baseball, with his outs above average on defense, with his hitting is just god-awful. You got to chalk this up as just a terrible year, a one-off, not what you expect going forward. I know you probably think it's maybe this is more the normal. I say this is the anomaly, and Tim just had a god-awful year. He's not this player.
He had a god-awful year, but 2022 was worse than 2021. 2023 was worse than 2022. I mean, you just see,
and the injuries were more significant each time too.
Right, and it's tough to bounce back from that stuff, and he's running slower too. He's what I think about a foot per second slower. He's never been under 27 feet per second, and he's nearly at 26.8 feet per second, 26.9. He's just not the same athlete he was, and I don't know if that's because of the injury and just playing injured. I would hope it's that case, but I mean, there is just the possibility that he's just reached a point. I mean, we see what happens with running backs all the time.
But it doesn't fall off the table in baseball this dramatically. It doesn't fall off like that unless you're at the end of your career. He's 28, 29?
He's 30.
Okay. That's still in the prime of your career?
Well, the one thing, though, I think this was from, what's his face? Mike Petriello.
Yep.
He's gone through, like, the players that have had elite sprint speed, and, like, the only person that's ever stayed consistent from, like, their debut sprint speed and has kept elite speed to age 31 is Trey Turner. So outside of that,
Billy Hamilton.
Yeah, but players who have been good. So like Billy Hamilton's still fast, and maybe Gerard Dyson, but again, like they're not being used as much as Tim Anderson is, especially in the field. So like I don't know. That's my concern with Tim, is just maybe there's too much tread on those tires, but I'd hope not.
But I think they're gonna definitely re-sign him, or they're gonna pick up that option.
I don't know what else they're gonna do.
Yeah, because I mean, you can always trade him once you pick it up, and
Exactly.
somebody would bite at the $14 million thing for Tim Anderson and expect what I expect, that him having a bounce back and $14 million being a bargain.
It's either Tim Anderson or like Jose Iglesias, which I know you don't mind.
I don't mind at all. And we're gonna lose. Let's have some fun.
The final question here is from our guy Ian, and he's a diehard, and he's asked this question in the CHGO Lounge for our off-day show. Is Bannister going to be the best signing of this entire offseason? We actually have a fair few pitchers with development and could save a fortune for position players. Hey, I mean, if you're not spending $30 million on a shortstop with Tim Anderson, maybe you could put some of that towards the pitching rotation. My computer just died, but the players that I had wrote down, at least looking at their StatCast data from available free agents, I think like my eye in the sky would be Sonny Gray, because I think he's kind of overlooked, but he gets incredible numbers. He can spin the ball like crazy, and I think that's what Bannister's going to be looking for, is guys that can bring just next level pitches, or pitches that just are very unique. And Gray has been not only effective, but mostly healthy for the large point of his career. I think there's probably a stigma that he hasn't been, but I mean, most seasons he's pitching at least 25 starts each and every game. He's consistently over 113, 140 innings each and every season. So I think Gray could be a good signing. But like Ross Stripling, who is a former Giant this year, Alex Cobb is a free agent who's a former Giant, Sean Manaea, a former Giant.
Jesus.
So I do think that those guys, especially with the connection from Bannister and seeing him sign them just this past offseason, especially with Manaea, I think that could be a player that they look forward to. And then Michael Lorenzen, I think, is another name that of like is under the radar, because, yes, he was an all-star, but the Tigers had no one else to throw out there. I think that he's got a lot of those spin rate metrics that people might look over, because, again, he's not like a dominant, I'm going to get you 10 strikeouts every single time, but he could throw 7 innings because he's just that type of athlete. I mean, we could see it even when he swings the bat, just to repeat those mechanics and to give you 7 innings every time.
And the best thing about those two players you mentioned, the Sonny Gray and the Michael Lorenzen, don't have to face the White Sox anymore.
Right.
Michael Lorenzen dominates them. And also, I would love to have those players, like you started naming some other players in the middle. I was like, ugh. But if you get Sonny Gray and you get Michael Lorenzen out of this offseason, it's underwhelming, but I think you might be cooking with a little bit gas.
You're underwhelmed by 2 all-star starting pitchers joining the rotation?
Yeah.
I'd be over the moon
Because you have a bunch of 2s and 3s.
Here's the thing with Bannister, though. Here's the thing with Bannister, though. You signed Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray is coming to you, Sonny Gray. The expectation is be Sonny Gray.
Yes.
The thing about getting Bannister is not to sign somebody who might help you recruit an already all-star level pitcher. It's to help turn a mid-level guy or a guy who has fallen back into an all-star level pitcher. You mentioned the other day when you were talking about kind of some of his pupils with the Giants, guys that weren't on the radar. You know what I mean? Michael Lorenzen was an all-star this season. Sonny Gray has been all-star caliber for years in this league. It's going to be those mid-level to low-level guys that you're not excited about, Herb, that they're going to say, all right, Brian Bannister, senior advisor of pitching, turn those guys into something that fans can be excited about.
You know who one of those guys that I wrote down? I forgot, notes syncs from my laptop to my phone. Alex Cobb, Sean Manaea, and Ross Stripling were the former Giants that I think have connections in our free agents. Johnny Cueto, we've seen him before. I think, hey, why not? He's a former Giant, and he was fantastic in 2021 with the White Sox, or 2022 with the White Sox. I think Martin Perez from the Rangers is one of those guys, too, because he was a big signing for the Rangers, and now he's been moved to their bullpen. Yep. But he hasn't been bad. A lefty, too. Sox don't have a ton of lefties. I think they might want to diversify their portfolio. Seth Lugo, who's been kind of a reliever and a starter, been pretty good this year, and he could spin it.
Padres, yeah.
He's got one of the top spins for like specific pitches since 2022. And then finally, Vince Velasquez. He started off pretty well with the Pirates, and then he got hurt. I could see Vinny V coming back.
Hype video, too.
I could see a hype video being made for Vince Velasquez. So those are some of the names that I thought of. But, I would be thrilled with Sonny Gray. Since 2019, he's got a 3.23 ERA. I think that's a number one stuff, but hey, that's just me.
Herb adding
Herb's not
2
impressed.
All-Stars to the starting rotation and then calling that underwhelming means, guess what, Herb? You're not going to be happy with whatever happens. This
I know.
offseason.
I want them to shop at the top of the market, and that's not the top of the market. That's close to the top of the market.
Sonny Gray is pretty close to the top of the market. Very close.
Give me Blake Snell.
Give
Give me Aaron Nola.
I mean, I'd be thrilled and shocked if Blake Snell happened, or if Sonny Gray happened. So if Blake Snell happens, I mean, I don't even know if I could show up to work.
No, we're just starting at Sonny Gray, and when we get like lower than that, I'm like, we can't even get Sonny Gray or Michael Lorenzen.
Sean Manaea, come on down.
Oh,
Seth
God.
Lugo, come on down. That's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. We'll talk to you all tomorrow if they play this White Sox game. If not, we'll still talk to you. See you then. Bye.